Hi students. I hope you revised the grammar points that we took yesterday. Yesterday we talked about a lot of things and we took a lot of forms. The grammar part that we took was related to the basic topic of the unit, which was, or still is actually, the future. So we have here, we took yesterday the future tense in general. We took the future perfect simple. We took the future perfect progressive. We took the future simple using will plus the base form. We took the future simple using be, verb to be with going to, and the base form. And at the end, we talked about using time clauses plus the present simple in one part or one clause, and the other clause is going to be the future clause. So just to apply the exercises, as we said, we have here the first exercise in your book is here to use the future perfect to combine. You have two parts. We are going to combine between them, combine the future events into one sentence using by or by the time. So before I start here, I'm going to just give you some examples. The rest are for you to apply. Why? Because there is no one module answer. You can answer as long as you apply it correctly, the future tense. You can use either by, you can use by the time. You can switch between the order sentences. You can put something before the other. So it's up to you. Here, the ones that I'm going to apply with you, you have the first one. Now, just note before we start here, yes, this is the example that we're going to follow. We have here the first event. I will take all my final exams. The second event, the end of June, will come. Now here, how did they do it? Of course, here you have two sentences. By the end of June, comma, one sentence, I will have taken all my final exams. So just put in mind that you have to change a little bit of the sentences that you have. Okay, going back to our models, we have here the first one. It will start to rain. We will arrive at the picnic. So I advise you here to live the example. If you want to do it right, you have to feel that you are the one who is talking. You are pretending that you are just in this situation. So just imagine that you are moving on, you are going to a picnic, and there are a lot of clouds, and it's going to start to rain. So here, our situation is that it is going to start to rain before we approach or we reach the picnic area. So how can we say it? We can say, for example, by the time we arrive at the picnic, it will have started to rain. The second one, imagine that you are watching a movie and you are very sleepy. So here, the first event is I will fall asleep, and the second event is this film will be over. So you feel very tired, you are going to fall asleep before your movie has ended. So here we can say, I will have fallen asleep by the time this film is over. And this is what I meant when I said that you can change the sentence order. Here, if you can see that we used, first of all, the future clause, and then we have the other part of the sentence. Now, after that, number 3, I will get married and have children, and this is something to plan in the future by, we have here, year 2024. So we can say, by 2024, I will have gotten married and had children. So these are just examples. You have the rest of the exercise to apply and do the same thing. Here, in the other example or the other exercise, we have here to use the future perfect or the future perfect progressive. Okay, and just to remind you, we said that we use the progressive if it is something that started in the past and still is going to complete or move on to the unknown future, or if you are focusing on the time more than the action. So here you can apply either this one or this one to complete each sentence. In some cases, both forms are possible, and also we have the example of your books. I'm going to start with the first one. We have here, my parents got married in 1990. By 2024. Again, we're going to go back to the same year. So I'm talking about my parents. They have been married since 1 year, and we're going to see by the other year what will happen. So I'm going to complete the sentence. By 2024, they will have been married. Why? Because I am focusing on the time. Here I am mostly interested in the time. So here we use the present perfect progressive. They will have been married for 34 years. After that we have, my brother became a vegetarian 3 weeks ago by next week. So here, by next week, he will have been a vegetarian for 4 weeks. You can say also for a month, for example. So here you can change, as I said, the sentence, but as long as the structure is correct, you're okay with it. Jassim started his new job in February. By November. So actually we are in the same thing here. We have finished from February and still November is ahead. So you can just imagine that this is a friend of yours. So here, what can we say about him? By November, he will have been working. Here we have the progressive. He will have been working there for 10 months. And then we have here number 4. You started studying at 4 o'clock by 8 o'clock. So also here, I am interested in the time. We have here, by 8 o'clock, you will have been studying for 4 hours. So just here to note that we have here, these are examples that you can change depending on the meaning that you want to give. Moving on to the exercise that we have, the third one in your book, which is also on page number 36. Here, this one is easy. We have just spaces or brackets. We're going to see what we have here in the brackets and correct them. Actually, just to apply the verbs depending on the meaning that we have. So we can use either in the sentence, put the verbs in parentheses in either the future tense, will or be going to, it's up to you, or the present tense. So the first one, if you can see the example, I'll call you as soon as I get home. Actually, you can see that the example here, there are no changes, not in the first one or the second one. Let's see the examples here. We have here the company, manufacture the parts when they receive the order. So we have a company. They are waiting for the parts that they want. When they receive the order, they will work in the future. So here, first I'm going to understand what happens before, and then I can apply and say, for example, the company will manufacture the parts when they receive the order. So one time I use the future because still this is the plan, and the other time the present simple. After I make $1 million, I buy my parents a house. So which one comes first? Do you make $1 million and then buy your parents a house? Or do you buy the house and then make $1 million? When you understand the order, you will understand how to apply your structure. So we have here, after I make, it doesn't change because this is the first. Then in the future, inshallah, I will buy my parents a house. After that, we have here, I travel the world before I get married and settle down. So you have some plans, there are things that you want to do. So we can say, for example, I will travel the world before I get married and settle down. So here, just to note that both of these things, they haven't happened yet. They are in the future. But here, I use the present simple. Why? Because we have here before. We have the time clause. So watch out, and you have to be very careful when you choose your structures and just read the whole sentence and make sure that you have seen and noticed every word that you had. So we have here, these are the exercises. You have the rest to apply by yourselves. And we have here, we're going to move on to the new topic that we have here for today, our lesson, which is of course also related to the future that we have and our title of the unit, which is what will they think of next. Now, this is the question that we discussed in lesson 1 in the unit, which is the listen and discuss. Now we have here, what things that we take for granted today did people not have 100 years ago? We discussed this question. There are many examples that were given, but maybe more and more, when you think about the topic, you get more thoughts about the topic. Now, you have to appreciate the things that we have now that they didn't have before. And we imagined later on, after 100 years, what are the things that they may have that we do not have now. But just to compare between our present and the past and appreciate the things that we take for granted, we have here some examples. The things that we can compare between are many. For example, now in general, the whole lifestyle. The lifestyle, the past is different from the present, is different from the future. How people wear, for example, wear clothes, how do they socialize together, how do they interact, their communication, their transportation, the ways that they deal with things, their needs, the everyday needs, shopping, everything is very different from one time to another. And we have here, there are other examples. Now, this one is very clear. We have here between the past and the present. Now, notice the needs of the past comparing to the needs of the present before the most important things that they had to have, or they had to make sure that everything is okay with, is, for example, where to live, what to eat, clothing, and healthcare in general. But nowadays, we have these things, yes. We have also transportation. We have also our devices, the things that we use for entertainment, phones. We have, for example, the entertainment outside the house, the places that we go to. We have also different things, many different things. So we feel that these things are necessary, but basically these things weren't there before, and they were okay with it. So here, this is just a comparison in general, and we can see here also that we have also just a small example. Now you can see in the past the kind of entertainment that they had. They had the record players, the big ones. They used to draw. It was mostly without electronics. And nowadays, our entertainment is based on using electronics in any way or technology. The things that you want, the things that you are interested in, they are totally different. Here is also another one. You can see the difference between the telephone, the cameras, the typewriter before and the laptop now, and so on. Here, these examples, they can be applied in different things. That doesn't have to be just by these matters. Now, in the book, in the Listen and Discuss, we discussed that there are changes in other things, like language, for example, like how do people interact with each other? How do you accept some things? How do you have points of view or thoughts about other things? So, just to give an example, mainly, yes. Now you can see the difference between the two pictures. Yes, what else? Now I'm going to just ask a personal question here, and yeah, it depends on your personal point of view. Now, which one would you prefer? If you are a reader and you like to read books, would you prefer, for example, reading books the old-fashioned way or the traditional way? Do you go and buy books from the bookstore? Do you enjoy, for example, reading the pages? Do you like the smell of the printing? So there are different things that people are attracted to. And we have here other peoples, they prefer the electronic books or the e-books that a lot of people use nowadays. So there are differences between them, and some people, they still prefer this, and other people, they prefer the new way. There is no wrong or right. They are all point of views. You can either accept this one or this one. It depends on what you like and what do you enjoy more. So we have here the conversation in the book, or basically it is the main topic of the lesson that we have here. It is about a boy and his grandmother. They have a discussion between the two kinds of books that they have. The old book or the regular books that we enjoy, and the electronic books. So before we start with the conversation, we have the learning objectives of this lesson. Now, to give the meanings of words based on the text, this is something very important. We have here to answer questions and express opinions. To use real talk and specific phrases in sentences. To use persuading phrases in conversations. Now, the last one, we'll get to it. Yes, now we're going to start with here. We can see that there's Edward and, of course, his grandmother. Yes, please, I want you to focus and concentrate on the conversation between them. Now, we tried before to have a kind of electronic voice playing the conversation, so you can focus more and understand more. And as I said to you before, you don't have to get used to natural voices. Sometimes you have to also distinguish between electronic voices. Yes, let's start.
Grandma, you've been lugging that book around all weekend.
If I want to read it, what choice do I have?
You can ditch the book and get an electronic book reader.
A what?
An electronic book reader. They're these great little devices that let you read books electronically, so you read on screen instead of on paper.
But, I like reading on paper.
Trust me, Grandma, in a few years, no one is going to be reading books printed on paper anymore. Paper books will have disappeared.
I don't like all this new technology. I'm happy with things the way they are.
You really should check out e-book readers. One of the advantages is that you can buy, download, and start reading a book in minutes. Another great thing about it is that you can carry hundreds of books with you without it being heavy.
Why would I want to carry hundreds of books around with me?
Grandma, I'm sure if you just gave it a try, you'd find that you actually prefer it. Why not? Go with the flow.
I think this is all just a lot of hoopla. I've been reading my books on paper for 68 years, and I'm not about to change that now.
Okay, so we have here, this is the conversation between Edward and his grandmother. You may agree with Edward, you may agree with the grandmother. It depends on your personal point of view. Now, about the conversation, we have the same things that we discussed in Unit 1 and Unit 2, which are two parts. The main type of discussion that we have in the conversation, and we have the real talk. Now, we agreed before that the real talk is a kind of informal way of speaking. There are phrases, there are words that can be applied. They mean something else, but they are mainly used informally. So here, the first question that you have about the conversation in your book, what does Edward want Grandma to try? So it's obvious that he is a modern type of boy. He wants her to try the kind of electronic books that he is used to. There are some phrases or real talk phrases that he used. For example, he wants her to ditch the book. Ditch the book here. It's clear from the way that he's trying to convince her. We have here the word ditch here is like this. It can be meant either as a real thing, or it can be just as a phrase that is used. Okay, so just a figure of speech. So to ditch an idea, to ditch a book, this is something means to get rid of something or to change it. And he sees that she has been lugging the book around all weekend. Why does he want her to ditch the book? Because she has been lugging the book around. We have here lugging. It's close to this picture here. Yes. Now, if you can see the girl here, she has a bag, a backpack on her bag, on her back, and here it shows that it is very heavy. She is lugging. She's not just carrying. Because it is heavy, she is lugging the bag around her back. Yes, this is the second question. What arguments does he make? He is trying to convince her that he has a point of view. His arguments are, for example, that they are easier to open, easier to find. You can find them anywhere. You can open them anywhere. They are available at any time that they want, and so on. So there are many different things. Maybe you heard something else. The real talk that he used also, he wants her to check out the ebook readers and go with the flow. So to check out, we have here, we're used to the word check out. To check out something is to try it and see, do you agree, don't agree, approve or don't approve. But it is something new that you have to just see first. And he wants her to go with the flow. If you can see, like for these people, for example, they are all moving on the same way. They are moving the same path. Now here, there's an idea about going with the flow, which is like fish in a river. Now when a river flows, the fish sometimes, they go against the flow of the water. And sometimes if the fish is dead, it does not resist, it just goes with the flow. So basically, going with the flow means that you do not have your personal opinion. You do not have something that, a goal in front of you. You are just going with the people and doing whatever they are doing. So basically, this is the meaning of go with the flow, or that something is common between people and other people are doing it just for this reason. So now we took 4. We took ditch, we took also lugging, we took go with the flow, and we took also what we have here, check out. Yes. Now the last question is Edward successful in persuading grandma? Why or why not? So based on what you heard, what was her last reply? Did she said, was she interested with it? Did she say, for example, that yes, okay, I'm going to try, or tell me more about it? Or did she answer something else? She said she thinks it is all just a lot of hoopla. Now hoopla, when you pronounce it, it gives you the kind of the sense of meaning here. It's something that is light. It gives a sense of something that is not serious. Okay, so we have here hoopla. Yes, it is something that is related to the publicity that it is given. It is given more than it actually deserves in her point of view. So anything that you feel that people are giving it bigger than it actually is worth, you can say that it is a kind of hoopla. So this is going to be the 5th form of real talk that we have here. And he was trying to convince her of something. So that's why we have here persuading is the main topic of the conversation here. Persuading means that you are trying to convince someone by the idea or the point of view that you have, and you are trying to make him do, or make her do, for example, or make him change their minds towards something. So the phrases that we have here, you can use when you want to convince someone or you want to persuade someone. You can say, for example, I'm sure if you just give it a try, you will find that. So like the books here, I am sure if you just try to open the site, for example, or any kind of application, you will find that the books are actually interesting. This is an example. Look at it this way. So everyone who has an opinion about something is looking in a way. You are asking to look in another way. One of the advantages is, okay, so this one is, we can say that properly, just to convince someone is to show the advantages or the positive side of something. One reason you should consider, it's close to advantages. Trust me on this. Now, when you are excited and you want someone to believe in what you think, you can say, okay, electronic books, for example, they are the best. Trust me on this. You just go ahead and try them. So here, this is one kind. And the last one, what's great about this, it's also a way to show the positive side or the advantage of something. So these are different kinds of phrases used to persuade someone and to convince someone by a point of view. Now you are asked in the book to apply within your classmates or your friends any kind of topic that you believe in or you are very excited about, and you try to convince them or persuade them to do or to read more about something or to apply to something that you believe in. Now, I'm going to give you just a short example here, a very small one. Now, basically, how do you feel about changes in general? Do you agree with all changes that are happening from past to the present? And things are actually now happening that can be also changing in the future. Do you agree with everything? To give you a more clear thought about it, I have this example. Now here, there's a written message for a student. I wrote the message for a student. So it is handwritten. Dear student, you are doing great. Your marks are getting better and better. Keep it up. You are awesome. Would you prefer for your teacher to give you a handwritten message from him or her, or is it better for you to just have it electronically? Maybe some people, they say that there's no difference, but actually there is a difference. So my question is, if you had a choice between the first handwritten or the second one, the electronic, which one would you prefer? To give you another example, just imagine that you have a friend you haven't seen for a long time, and this friend sends a message or a letter to you. Would you prefer this friend, close friend, to write you something that you can read? You can see his handwriting or her handwriting, or is it better just to have it the new electronic way? So these are the two pictures that we have. I am going to use them in phrases to persuade you, to convince you by my point of view. And actually, I'm going to use both ways. But you have to just associate with the idea, and you can apply the same thing on anything that you have in mind. So our lesson here, the discussion about books, old and new, the basic thing that we have here is to listen, answer questions, and predict meanings of words from the text, to build conversations using discussion phrases, which are the persuading phrases that we have here, and to apply real talk in new sentences. Do not forget also to apply the real talk that we have here, like the ones that I do when I use all in one together. So try as much as you can to use everything so you can practice more. So until the next lesson, this is your assignment, and wait for me to persuade you, to convince you of my point of view.